Hello everybody, thanks for listening in. I'm going to talk about less, and hopefully I won't talk for too long, so I'll talk less about less. But I have to tell you that less is more, and that's the theme of my presentation today. It seems like from a landing page optimization perspective, we live in the times of the jumbo meal and the supersizing everything. I think we take a similar approach when we stuff our landing pages full of marketing BS. And so I want to really fight against that and talk a little bit about how to improve conversions by doing less. I'm going to talk about the first of my lesses, and the first less is less clutter. Now we just talked about kind of the balance between SEO and graphic design, and I'm here to tell you that in many cases your graphic designer, or the person actually constructing your pages, can be your worst enemy. And what I mean by that is they try to do too much with the page. So if I were to ask you, what are you even supposed to look at on this page, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to tell me, because there's just such an overload of information. So there, how do you like them apples? But even if a little more thought is given to a page, let me ask you real quick, just what do you think they want you to do on this page? What do they want you to interact with? This is a direct response landing page, believe it or not. And I'm sure many of you are guessing. First you look at the red call before December 30th. Then you look at Vanna White looking at that computer screen. And what they really want you to do, believe it or not, is to click on the iPhone, that little black iPhone in the middle. It says free 30-day trial. Now, many of you may have an iPhone and you probably naturally look there, but for most of the rest of us, this call to action is not at all obvious amid all of the clutter. So by stripping it down radically, you can often improve conversion. So let me show you an example of big companies and how they get this kind of stuff wrong all the time. I'm sure most of you are familiar with 1-800-Flowers. I think last I heard they do about $1 billion a year in sales, over 300 million of that in their online catalog. So this is the product detail page in their catalog. Everybody has to pass through this in order to give them money. So what are you supposed to do on this page? And again, I think it's kind of hard to tell. There's a lot of actions competing for your attention, a lot of bright visual elements. But what they want you to actually do is near the bottom of the page is to click that light violet select delivery date button. And again, if you just first glance at the page, it doesn't exactly jump out at you. So what we did is we did a kind of a design exercise, and we were told what can you do to redesign the page, keep all the content and functionality there, but refocus and really declutter the page. So this is the page that we came up with. And I'm sure that most of you are saying to yourselves, well, the call to action here is pretty obvious. Click that big green button that says view delivery dates. And I would say that's one of the takeaways from my presentation is you really want to make it obvious. You want it to use the obvious standard, because if it's not obvious, you're losing money. So what we did is we ran the original page through our Attention Wizard software, just to kind of illustrate this another way. And again, this is just upload a screenshot or of a live page or a mock-up of a page that you're designing, and we're predicting where someone's going to look on the page. And as you can see, they're the biggest hot spots on the flower bouquet, which is where it belongs, because that's one of the hero shot or one of the important things on the page. But then there's several other hot spots that are just on unnecessary visual elements on the page, and they are so loud that they drown out the important thing. There's no attention at all on that poor select delivery date button near the bottom. And of course, if we did the same thing for the redesigned mock-up that we created, I think you're going to see a very, very different story. And I'm sure you'll agree that it's pretty obvious what people are looking at. They're looking at the product and they're looking at the button, a big fat hot spot on that button. So remember, less clutter. Keep your graphic designers on a short leash. They can do whatever they want on the weekend, go to a rave, get their nipple pierced, but when they come to work Monday morning, leave the creativity at the door and focus on clarity. All right, that's tip number one. Number two, I want to talk about another less, and that is less text. Most of us don't like sitting in front of a 72 DPI monitor and reading all 1,000 pages of War and Peace in front of our computer, and yet we expect other people to behave as if they like that. So let me give you an example. A lot of landing pages, especially if they're also kind of doubling for SEO, have a ton of text on them. And this will kill your conversion. Here's actually a pay-per-click landing page for Canyon Tours, for Grand Canyon Tours. Do you really expect me to read all of the information on this page? It's just an insane amount of information. And so one of the recommendations I would make is really trim down your text, because no one's going to be reading this. It's kind of in the old Charlie Brown cartoons when the grown-ups would talk in front of the class, that all the kids would hear is wah 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 wah. Well, folks, I'm here to tell you, if you have a page like this, it's basically the web equivalent of wah 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 wah. If you want it not to be read, this is a good way to do it. Just throw up a lot of text on the page. Now, the alternative can look pretty stark in comparison. I like to think that we follow our own best practices, or eat our own dog food, as they say in the advertising industry. Well, here's our homepage. Hopefully it's pretty clear what to do here. There's not a lot of text, folks. And this is pretty much the whole page. That choice, that navigation, those Alka-Seltzer tablets on top are all graphics, so that the text that you see is mostly the SEO text, but we're going to lay out the page in a way that we can control the focus and the amount of reading required. All right, I'm going to talk about the last less, and that is less information. One of the things that I have to say that many of us do as marketers is to get really greedy and to get really aggressive, and we ask for inappropriate information. We ask for it too early in the process. And we think it's actually a good idea. I'm here to tell you it's not. Ask for less and you'll get more. Let me show you an example. This was one of our clients, Hearing Planet, and they had a landing page specifically for download your buyer's guide to hearing aids, which seems like a really good idea, because it's a pretty complicated, involved, and expensive decision you're about to make, which one to get, right? But take a look at the fields on the form that they're asking for. It may be a little hard to read, but they're asking for first and last name. That's okay, but then they ask for street, city, state, zip, country. They're asking for your mailing address, folks, and this is a download page. This is a page where they want you to download a PDF. So what do you actually need? What information do you need to download a PDF? Some of you are probably thinking, okay, email address, name maybe. I'm here to tell you that it's not even that much. You need nothing, absolutely nothing. Let them download the buyer's guide to hearing aids. Will probably get into 10 times as many hands if you don't ask for anything. Of course, that's an okay, well, we still need to at least collect contact information. I said, great, just take off the stupid mailing address. How many of you would like a 17% bump in conversion? That's how they did it. Just take off the unnecessary information. Another example is one of our partners' clients actually had a landing page for debt negotiation or debt consolidation services, and they would resell these leads. And as you can see, this page has a very long burgundy form against the right-hand side, and they ask for a lot of information: first name, spouse, last name, email, home phone, work phone, cell phone, best time to call. Oh my gosh! If you actually look at this, like we did, and we asked them, what do you do with this? They said, we call them. We have to qualify every lead. And we said, what's the minimum of information you need to get these people qualified so you can call them? And that's actually what ended up being on the winning page right here. As you can see, the form's a lot shorter. First, last, email, phone, and then the state, because they have different laws, and the debt amount. And yeah, that number that you see on the very left of the slide, that's the right number of zeros. These people had a 51% increase in conversion, which resulted in $48 million a year top-line contribution. In other words, revenue. But since it's just pure profit for them, it's just leads they're selling, and they've already paid to get the traffic to the site. That was pretty much also their bottom-line contribution. Now, a lot of things on that form have changed, but I bet you dollars to donuts that most of that conversion gain came from making that form a lot less imposing. So I'm going to stay. If you need to get a hold of me, this is the number of ways to do that. You're welcome to connect with me on social media, or read my columns, or listen to my weekly Webmaster Radio podcast. At this point, Lou, I'm going to throw it back to you.